Did Jack Brennan honestly think he could look a pure-hearted kid like Giovanni Palmieri in the eye and casually manipulate him into becoming a cold-blooded killer after what just went down at the Quartermain Lake? If you ask me, the sheer audacity of this WSB mastermind is reaching terrifying new heights, and the collateral damage is about to wreak devastation on Port Charles in a way we haven't seen in decades. We all watched in absolute horror as Nina Reeves, driven by pure, unadulterated desperation, shoved a wheelchair-bound Drew Kane into the freezing waters. We all cheered when our brave lifeguard Gio dove in to save him. But if you thought that heroic rescue was the end of the nightmare for young Gio, you are painfully mistaken. In fact, that plunge into the water was just the baptism into a much darker, far more sinister underworld that Brennan is orchestrating behind the scenes. Grab your tea, ladies, because the bombshells we are about to dissect will leave you absolutely breathless. To truly understand the magnitude of this impending disaster, we have to look at the chaotic landscape of our beloved Port Charles right now. Nina Reeves is a woman standing on the absolute edge of a psychological cliff. After losing the man she believed to be Nathan West, only to discover the heartbreaking truth about Cassius Faison's deception and subsequent death, Nina's mind has been a fragile house of cards. When Drew Kane began to regain his speech and mobility, threatening to expose the long-buried secret that Willow Kane has been desperately hiding, Nina snapped. In a moment of pure madness, she pushed Drew into the lake, hoping the dark waters would swallow their problems forever. It was a rash, unforgivable act, born out of a mother's twisted desire to protect her daughter at any cost. For those of us who have followed Nina's journey for years, we know that when she feels backed into a corner, her grip on reality shatters. We saw it when she kept Sonny's identity a secret in Dixon Falls, and we are seeing it magnified 100 times now. Her desperation to avoid Pentonville has turned her into a woman capable of murder. And then we have Willow Kane, this supposedly saintly congresswoman whose halo has been slipping for months. Willow has built a perfect, pristine life, but it is all built on a foundation of lies and paralytic drugs. She has been terrified that Drew's miraculous recovery will shatter her carefully constructed world. She knows that if Drew exposes her, she will lose everything: her career, her family, and her freedom. Willow and Nina have been completely relying on Jack Brennan to secure the blackmail evidence needed to keep Drew quiet. But when Nina took matters into her own hands at the lake, she escalated a game of corporate blackmail into a full-blown attempted murder. Enter Giovanni Palmieri. Sweet, innocent Gio, who was just in the right place at the right time. When he saw Drew drowning, his lifeguard instincts kicked in, and he became the hero of the hour, pulling Drew from the brink of death and resuscitating him. Gio thought he was just doing his job, saving a life and being a good citizen. He had absolutely no idea that his heroic act was about to place a massive target on his back. You see, guys, in the soap opera world, no good deed goes unpunished. Gio's brave rescue inadvertently ruined Nina's deadly solution, and now he is the only wild card in a very dangerous deck. But that's not even the craziest part. The real jaw-dropping twist begins in the aftermath of the near drowning, when Jack Brennan realizes he has to clean up Nina's catastrophic mess. I have a very strong theory about exactly what happens next. Brennan, being the seasoned WSB operative and master manipulator that he is, secretly arranges a clandestine meeting with Nina and Willow. On the surface, this looks like a strategic huddle to get their stories straight. Nina is likely a sobbing, frantic mess, desperately begging Brennan to use his immense power to hide her crime. She knows she is looking at a massive prison sentence for attempted murder, and she is pleading for a miracle. Willow is right there beside her, and if you ask me, this is where we see Willow's true colors shine through. The fear of exposure has completely stripped away her righteous facade. She is terrified that Drew, having survived the lake, will remember everything and come after them with a vengeance. Willow is practically demanding that Brennan fix this, proving once and for all that she is willing to cross any moral line to protect her own interests. The two women are leaning entirely on Brennan, trusting him to be their dark knight in this twisted scenario. During this secret rendezvous, Brennan is cool, calm, and collected. He is the ultimate fixer, assessing the situation not with panic, but with cold, calculated precision. He assures Nina and Willow that he will handle the fallout, that he will spin a web of lies so thick that the PCPD won't know which way is up. He promises to protect them, solidifying his twisted romance with Nina and his control over Willow. It's a masterclass in manipulation, as Brennan positions himself as their indispensable savior. But that's not even the craziest part. Here is where the bombshell drops, ladies. In a twist of cruel fate, Giovanni Palmieri happens to be in the wrong place at the worst possible time. As Brennan, Nina, and Willow conspire in the shadows, Gio accidentally overhears the entire conversation. Imagine the absolute shock washing over this young man's face. He realizes that the drowning wasn't an accident. He realizes that Nina, the woman he thought was a respectable figure in town, deliberately tried to murder Drew. And worse, he realizes that Willow is complicit in the cover-up. But the biggest shock for Gio is Jack Brennan. To the rest of Port Charles, Brennan has been playing the role of a charming, albeit mysterious, businessman and former WSB chief. But as Gio listens from his hiding spot, he hears the true Brennan, a ruthless, calculating criminal mastermind who is actively orchestrating a massive cover-up of a heinous crime. Gio's innocent worldview is completely shattered in that instant. The people he trusted, the community he thought he knew, are all tainted by this dark, long-buried secret. Driven by his strong moral compass and absolute outrage, Gio makes a fateful decision. He refuses to stay silent. In a moment of righteous fury, Gio steps out of the shadows and confronts the trio. He looks Brennan dead in the eye and declares that he is going straight to the police, to Harrison Chase and Anna Devane, to report everything he just heard. Furthermore, he threatens to go directly to Drew Kane and tell him exactly who pushed him into that freezing water. Gio thinks the truth will protect him. He thinks he holds all the cards. But that's not even the craziest part. If you thought Jack Brennan was going to panic or pull out a weapon, you don't know this man. Brennan's reaction is what makes this upcoming storyline so incredibly chilling. Instead of resorting to physical violence, Brennan smiles. It's a cold, dead smile that doesn't reach his eyes. He looks at Gio not as a threat, but as a new pawn on his chessboard. Brennan understands that true power doesn't come from a gun. It comes from psychological dominance. And so the psychological warfare begins. We have to remember that Jack Brennan didn't just stumble into power. He is a highly trained operative who once sat at the very top of the WSB. He has interrogated international spies, toppled regimes, and broken the minds of men far stronger than a local lifeguard. He knows exactly which pressure points to push to make someone crumble without ever laying a finger on them. I firmly believe that Brennan, with his vast intelligence network, has already run a complete background check on Gio. Within seconds, Brennan begins to casually list the names of the people Gio loves most. He mentions Trina Robinson, Gio's musical partner and close friend. He mentions Emma Scorpio Drake. He might even mention Lois or the Quartermains. Brennan doesn't make a direct, screaming threat. He speaks softly, turning Gio's loved ones into invisible hostages. He makes it crystal clear that if Gio breathes a word of this to the police or to Drew, accidents will happen to the people he cares about. The devastation on Gio's face will be heartbreaking to watch. The young hero is instantly paralyzed by fear. Brennan uses this moment of weakness to force Gio into submission. He tells Gio that from now on, he works for him. Brennan starts small, giving Gio minor, seemingly harmless tasks to prove his loyalty. But with every task, Gio is pulled deeper and deeper into Brennan's criminal underworld. Every time Gio tries to resist, Brennan simply whispers a loved one's name, tightening the invisible noose around Gio's neck. It is a brilliant, terrifying display of manipulation that strips Gio of his agency and his soul. But that's not even the craziest part. The absolute climax of this jaw-dropping twist is Brennan's ultimate endgame. Brennan isn't just trying to keep Gio quiet, he wants to weaponize the young man. As Drew Kane continues to recover, his memory of the incident by the lake will inevitably start to return. Drew is a former Navy SEAL. If he realizes Nina tried to kill him and Willow covered it up, he will unleash hell on all of them. Brennan knows that Drew is the biggest threat to his plans and his new life with Nina. So, Brennan devises a truly sick, twisted solution. If Drew becomes a liability, Brennan won't get his own hands dirty. Instead, he will order Giovanni Palmieri to eliminate the threat. Yes, you heard me right, guys. Brennan plans to force Gio, the very young man who dove into the lake and saved Drew's life, to be the one who ends it. It is the ultimate corruption of innocence. Brennan wants to turn a lifesaver into a life taker, using the safety of Gio's family as the ultimate leverage. This places Gio in the most agonizing moral dilemma imaginable. If he follows Brennan's orders and kills Drew, he completely destroys his own soul and crosses a line from which he can never return. He becomes a murderer to protect his family. But if he refuses, Brennan will unleash his wrath on Trina, Emma, and everyone Gio holds dear. Gio is trapped in a psychological prison, suffocating under the weight of this impossible choice. The emotional toll on this young musician will be a masterclass in soap opera tragedy. We will watch into his bright, optimistic personality is slowly drained away, replaced by the hollow, haunted look of a soldier forced to fight a war he never signed up for. Every time he looks at his violin, every time he sees Trina smile, he will be reminded of the bloody price he has to pay to keep them safe. It is a sickeningly brilliant move by Brennan, ensuring that even if Gio succeeds, he will be too broken to ever pose a threat again. But don't lose all hope just yet, my friends, because this is General Hospital, and secrets never stay buried forever. I have a sneaking suspicion that Drew Kane, with his sharp instincts, will start to notice the profound change in Gio. Drew might realize that the terrified kid carrying out Brennan's dark bidding isn't a willing traitor, but a desperate victim of psychological torture. This could pave the way for an incredible secret alliance between Drew and Gio. Imagine the two of them teaming up in the shadows to dismantle Brennan's empire, expose Nina's murderous actions, and tear down Willow's saintly facade once and for all. Will Gio find the strength to turn the tables on his tormentor before he is forced to pull the trigger? We will have to stay glued to our screens to find out.